Welcome to Civilization Design for Mars. This time we predict when civilization on Mars begins. I'm designing a legal and ethical framework for a civilization on our alternate planet as we become multi-planetary. This channel documents controversial and notable topics encountered along the way. All policies discussed are intended for Mars, not Earth. Today, predicting when civilization on Mars begins. Is human civilization on Mars years, decades, or centuries away? How long will it take to build the foundation of the new civilization? How do we define the beginning of civilization on Mars? We look at these and other issues as we predict when we start life on Mars. Civilization building takes time. It's possible to imagine a fully functioning civilization on Mars now. In reality, however, to get a sense of the time required to start a civilization on our alternate planet, we break up the necessary steps into 4 phases of work. We explore the phases of work and predict how long they'll take. Phase 1: Successful arrival of humans on Mars. We are currently in Phase 1. No human has yet been to Mars, but several motorized vehicles have. Phase 1 is currently an Earth-based research and development phase, linked to the model for commercially viable space travel. This model posits that reusable rockets, creating a shuttle between Earth and Mars, will bring down the cost of space travel to an economically viable level which enables multi-planetary human existence. Teams at SpaceX are currently creating a reusable shuttle to Mars called Starship. Starship not only has to shuttle to Mars and back. For Phase 1 to be successful in the human civilization mission to Mars, it has to safely shuttle humans. Part of Phase 1 will see attempted and successful Starship test flights to the Moon and then to Mars, first carrying androids. Eventually a team of expert human astronauts will travel by Starship to Mars, confirm arrival with some returning to Earth whilst others remain on Mars. Phase 1 will be complete when the shuttle between Mars and Earth works and humans astronauts can begin work on Phase 2. This will be the start of human life on Mars, but not yet Mars civilization. Time prediction for completing Phase 1. The original date set for Starship launch to Mars was 2024. This is the earliest possible arrival time on Mars. This deadline shifts as the engineering problems remain unsolved or are solved. Given the shuttle tests, android recce to Mars and human shuttle tests, the time range predicted for completion of Phase 1 is 2029 at the earliest or, given likely challenges, 2055. Phase 2: Humans building a research and construction base. Phase 2 is a series of high-risk human and technological missions to create a functioning base for a limited number of expert astronauts to survive on Mars initially. As they confirm and rebut assumptions about Mars, they will create a basic survival and research base. Similar to military missions on Earth or space missions, the astronauts are highly trained, paid professionals who bear a high risk of death, illness, and injury in Phase 2 missions. This is especially due to atmospheric conditions harmful to human bodies on Mars, relative lack of information about the hostile environment, finite fuel, food, air, and extremely limited infrastructure. Mars reality and the human experience of attempting to be there, aided by past research, will inform and structure the work required in Phase 2 and beyond. Astronauts and infrastructure builders need to be able to exist, breathe, live, work and have access to basic utilities on Mars before they can start building infrastructure for a future civilization. It's a bit like safety on planes, they need to put on their own masks and start breathing before helping others. This may mean only short-term shifts on Mars are possible initially. Working on the foundations of Phase 1, which assumes a working shuttle system between Earth and Mars, Phase 2 can be said to be complete when experts are able to survive on Mars short-term, establish and maintain their own base from which they can commence with Phase 3 works. Time prediction for completing Phase 2: it could take between 2 and 10 years for expert astronauts to deem their own human presence on Mars to be stable enough, in terms of short-term health for example, to create a research base from which to proceed with Phase 3. Phase 2 could therefore be complete between 2031 the earliest and 2065 in later predictions. Is Phase 2 already civilization? Civilization is defined as an advanced state of human society containing highly developed forms of government, culture, industry, and common social norms. Let's say there are between 10 and 100 astronauts on Mars in Phase 2. Whilst these are highly trained professionals, supported by advanced technology, who are coming from an advanced state of human society on Earth, Phase 2 is not yet definable as civilization. The astronauts will not have their own form of government, culture, and industry which apply to their state of existence on Mars. Phase 2 is a necessary pre-civilization step to arrive and understand the problems of surviving on Mars. Phase 3, building the foundations of a civilization. Phase 3 prepares the planet for non-expert citizens to live in a relatively stable and acceptable environment in the medium to long term on Mars. This phase would enable authorized immigration of non-astronaut humans from Earth as the system of populating Mars. It will only be appropriate to invite non-experts to live on Mars once there is an environment which can support them, for example, an atmosphere in which they can breathe, in which they can live without expectation of radiation leading to unreasonably premature death. Immigrants from Earth should be able to take shelter, have some privacy and be comfortable enough, physically and psychologically, to live short, medium, or even long-term on Mars. Much like building a city which did not previously exist, Phase 3 is where the core civilization design and build is focused. Without this infrastructure design, no human could arrive, or survive, on Mars. Resources will be mined on Mars and extracted from the atmosphere, brought from Earth or other sources, to build systems of habitation, transport, shelter with relevant utilities and fuel, including reliable food sources for inhabitants. Before the first non-expert humans arrive, immigrants moving from Earth will need to understand the different sets of rights, responsibilities, and duties they owe to others and themselves on Mars. Much like moving to another country, you must accept the laws of the land. In order to do this, there must be at least the beginning of a legal system there. Whilst Mars-only law will start to form during Phases 1 and 2 as astronauts and private companies encounter Mars-specific problems which require decisions, Phase 3 will create the foundation of a legal system for Mars. Mars' legal system will be designed based on the most appropriate combination of Earth legal systems, borrowing their basic legislation and laws which may have relevance to life on Mars. The design of the legal system will also be phased, to deal with the different stages of stability of the society there. When the environment, atmospheric, legal, and infrastructural, is deemed stable enough for non-expert humans to live life on Mars, as the final tests are being completed, training and selection programs for the first non-expert citizens on Earth will be underway. Earth immigration preparation commences as the final part of Phase 3. Time prediction for completing Phase 3. The earliest the foundations of the new civilization could be ready for Earth humans on Mars is 2041, and the higher time range is 2085. Phase 3 requires fully functioning and tested solutions to some of the biggest problems on Mars. Phase 3 isn't just a time for ideas and designs, they need to be built, tested, and work in reality. Phase 4, arrival of non-expert humans. Non-expert human immigrants from Earth intending to commit to a medium or long-term life on Mars will be the first intended inhabitants of the new civilization. These are humans who have been socialized on Earth and who wish to live the rest of their lives on Mars together. Initially these people will arrive in small groups to settle and see how they get on physically, psychologically, and socially with one another. The non-expert citizens on Mars will require great support, technologically, psychologically, socially, physically and in all facets of their life there. The existence of civilization infrastructure supporting life on Mars will require physical maintenance, monitoring, improvement, and development. Therefore, the expert astronauts and infrastructure builders will be joined by many human support services, and remain part of the ecosystem of the civilization on Mars, as well as the citizens themselves. Phase 4 can be said to be complete when multiple small groups of non-expert immigrants from Earth are able to adjust and settle on Mars with all the technological and psychological support required. They should be able to live reasonably healthy, long lives, with the desire to stay on Mars and make it their home. Is Phase 4 civilization? Phase 4 is the start of Mars civilization. However, Phase 4 needs time to prove itself as stable. Therefore, civilization can be said to start about 20 years into Phase 4, giving individual and collective human citizens time to have abandoned Mars or truly to have chosen to remain there, partaking in their own form of government together, and creating culture, industry, and common social norms, as per the definition of civilization. Time prediction for the start of civilization on Mars, 2061 at the earliest and 2105 in a later prediction. Next time we look at the importance of reasons for going to Mars. That's all for this episode. Please subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for listening to Civilization Design for Mars.